For me, the biggest struggle this year has been just being able to get over my fears. Because I've had so many fears built up, they've just kind of piled on top of each other, and then little things that aren't really that big of a deal to other people feel like a big deal to me.
It's always a bit heartbreaking to remember that there are over 30,000 undergraduate students on this campus, and so many of them feel alone.
I experienced a really scary car accident last year, and that was something that just made me afraid of everything. And it made me afraid of getting outside my house. It made me afraid of going to school. And then add a full course load and 2 jobs onto that. And a family at home was just a lot for me, and I was scared of a lot of things.
There are some unique stressors to Augustana. I would say over the past few years, one of the most prevalent stressor has been the 3-11 week, the change in the schedule, that is, because it requires students to take 1 course and finish it in 3 weeks. The smaller campus community has its perks and its flaws in a way because everybody knows each other, so it's quite supportive and you always have a friend. But the flaw is that sometimes everybody finds out if something went wrong in your life or something is weighing on you, and that can be a big cause for anxiety, social anxiety.
Undergraduate men that are my age, usually we feel pressure from society saying that if we express ourselves, if we do have mental health problems, we're not masculine enough. We're not someone who can take care of themselves.
As undergraduates who created this video, we know this is the time where we are all exploring so many different things, and it's important for us to be healthy enough to make use of all the resources and opportunities which university offers.
Self-care is important for undergraduate students as a means to cope with life's challenges.
Mental wellness looks different for everyone. It can be as little as stopping by to see a furry friend or seeing a counselor for support.
The Live Well program is targeted to make everyone feel included. Students can attend workshops, paint nights, and take a walk on a treadmill desk to relieve stress. Physical wellness can be used as a valuable tool to combat mental health struggles, such as anxiety or depression, or whatever else you might be dealing with that day.
This is a great time for students, especially undergraduate students, to make their mental health a priority, just because it's a time of transition, it's a time of new experiences, often in a very competitive, high-stress environment.
The mental health and wellness resources available, I think, start with the individual relationships. And so in the classroom, the students will typically have very good access to professors who can really support, obviously, the academic growth, but often professors do more than that. And I think that that's an important start, as well as then with other sort of services available on campus, living in residences. There's the ability to connect with a range of peer-based supports. So we have in the residences, we have student staff that fill resident assistance roles and what we call Hull coordinators, which are on North Campus more closely related to what we call senior RAs. And so they provide a lot of that relational and support that can really help students as they're dealing with the day-to-day stressors of being university students.
So the way in which First People's House supports students is in a holistic manner. That's the way in which it started 40 years ago, was ensuring that the students are supported mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
The Peer Support Center offers short-term 1-hour sessions for students in need of talking to a peer who might be able to understand what they're going through. The Landing is a center for gender and sexual minorities on campus. We offer some short-term counseling for students who might want to talk to somebody who's very in the know with LGBTQ2S+ folks.
We call it bilingual counseling services because our population, most of our students are bilingual. So some students prefer to speak French, some students are more comfortable in English, but they'll switch back and forth naturally. So we call it bilingual services.
More formal supports then include a counseling service. So we have one full-time counselor on campus. We have the nurse navigator, the registered nurse who provides a range of those services. And we have a chaplaincy program as well that provides spiritual-based support, but also a range of health and wellness activities, including weekly meals, soup suppers they're called, the opportunity for people to just get together with each other and share a meal.
Being an international student poses extra challenges, such as being away from home. Language poses an additional barrier because sometimes you just don't have the correct vocabulary to express yourself. Financial challenges can be huge too, and also just trying to accommodate to new weather, new culture, and new academic system.
Les thèmes sont assez typiques dans le sens que c'est beaucoup des étudiants de première année, des étudiants qui sont stressés, des étudiants qui vivent l'ajustement, qui se sentent dépassés parce qu'ils ont beaucoup à jongler, et c'est un grand ajustement. Et il y a aussi beaucoup d'étudiants à notre campus qui sont des nouveaux arrivants depuis longtemps, qui sont maintenant des citoyens canadiens et qui font un retour aux études, et ils ont toute une autre réalité que nos étudiants qui arrivent du secondaire. Alors c'est un autre ajustement pour eux, puis c'est aussi jongler la famille d'ici, mais aussi les besoins et les inquiétudes parfois de la famille qui est encore au pays.
I think because of the diversity of our students, when we look across all of our First Nations and Métis learners across campus, the diversity is so wide. We have over 1,200 students that self-declare as First Nations, Métis, or Inuit. And what we found is that the diversity is required, right? There's not one cookie cutter way in which we help and assist students. We have to be open to the diversity of our students and what's going to fit for them. So some very much may very well be counseling, and maybe they're at that level of they're in need of counseling. Others, it may be seeking elder support or traditional knowledge support. For many, it's connecting back to their culture.
Community is one of the greatest protective factors that you can have, and connecting to one another really helps buffer against some of those little bumps in the road that come along, and also the big bumps and the big holes, potholes that come along.
Those guys that are scared to admit that they are doing unwell, first of all, I want to say that I was one of them. But what I've realized is that it's so easy not to ask for help. It's so easy to isolate yourself and keep your problems to yourself. But true strength, I've discovered, and true courage comes in seeking help.
We as a community social work team often talk about being adaptive. So not just bouncing back, but being adaptive and building pathways within the community that allow individuals to be resilient and allow our environment to be more resilient. I think often when you hear the conversation about resiliency, it's something placed on an individual to scale up in, and you can hold all the skills possible. But if you're in a structured environment that's really unhealthy and it isn't built for you to succeed, I think very quickly your resiliency can be very negatively impacted.
I want to encourage students to take advantage of office hours, take advantage of meeting with your professors and building those relationships. It can seem scary to go to office hours and you're sitting across a desk and it's the person who's grading you and who has a PhD and there's these power dynamics, but we're all there teaching because we are really, really invested in our students. And you won't be the first student who's cried in our office, and you won't be the last. You're not a bother, and I am so continually impressed by the bravery and courage of students who are able to have those conversations and share their struggles and reach out for help.
How I dealt with my fear was I just was more open to conversations. I started joining in on the conversation rather than shutting them out. And in previous years, I did shut them out. I didn't want to talk about anything. But the more that I talk about it, the more that I feel comfortable about it. I think what made me open up was just allowing myself to realize I'm not normal if I have problems. I'm probably more normal if I have problems. And acting like I'm perfect is just an act. It's not an actual reality.
Mental health exists on a spectrum. There is no one issue or one solution that is best for everybody. Everyone is different and everyone has different sorts of mental needs and different solutions. And it's also really important that while recognizing that mental health is unique to every person, that every person should also be in part in control of authoring their own solutions to finding their path to wellness and path to health.
We really believe in the capacity that community has to care for each other.
I wish I realized how many people care on this campus. There are so many people that are willing to listen. You just have to make the first step. Reaching out for help was scary, but the scariest thing I ever did was hold on to my fears alone. Let's do this all together. Let's reach out for help, take the time to listen to each other, and let's foster a community that cares.